Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Troy City Council Public Utilities Committee meeting. If you can all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we'll do a roll call. Councilmember Vera.
Present.
Okay, who else is on? Me, it's only the three of us, right?
Yeah, it's me and Ryan, right?
Councilmember Casey.
Here.
Okay, Council President ex officio.
Present.
Okay, also, and I am here. Also present with us is Councilmember Keel, Councilmember Brosnan, and Councilmember McLaren. So on tonight's agenda, we will be discussing the lead replacement and the use of grant funding for the lead replacement. And the meeting is also going to be live streamed. So I would like to welcome anyone from the public if they wish to speak. And this is on agenda items. Yeah, that's fine.
Let's turn it on the bottom.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. Well, hello, everyone. Great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity to comment. I'm Rob Hayes. I'm the Senior Director of Clean Water and Environmental Advocates, New York. Been up here a lot talking about lead service lines, so great to see you all again. And this is a really interesting agenda I know that the mayor and the city council have laid out, specifically the bond resolution that I think should be coming up to authorize the city to move forward with bonding for lead pipe replacement. And this is a really great and important step, long time in the making, to ensure that the city can really access that $12.8 million in federal funding that it's been given to really accelerate efforts to get these pipes out of the ground as efficiently and equitably as possible. But of course, that's just the first step. And the second step will then actually be going to the bond markets and accessing that upfront funding so that you can really accelerate that work. And I know there are still questions swirling around about constitutionality, and wanted to, continue to address some of those concerns, because the position of Environmental Advocates New York and many of our partners is that it is fully constitutional for Troy to bond for this work, and that there should not be any concerns or obstacles that prevent the city from moving forward with this. We've, I know, highlighted a few documents in the past and a few new ones that have come up recently. There have been prominent lawyers from Earth Justice and the Environmental Defense Fund that have analyzed the state constitution and relevant laws and case law and have not found any explicit barriers to bonding. We also know that Attorney General Letitia James, in comments submitted to the Environmental Protection Agency, found no flaws in those studies, which isn't a formal opinion from the Attorney General, but certainly I think gives their thinking on this matter, that there shouldn't be anything stopping cities from doing this work. And the final thing I'll mention is that there was a board meeting today of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, which kind of distributes a lot of this federal funding that is being given by the Environmental Protection Agency. And at this meeting, the question of constitutionality of bonding for lead pipe replacement came up. And EFC said very clearly that the reason that they amended New York state law last year to basically add a period of probable usefulness for bonding for lead pipe replacement is because they wanted cities to use that and to move forward with bonding. And they specifically said that there is case law and a long history of comptroller opinions that makes it very clear that there is a public benefit here, that even if there might be an incidental private benefit, that is outweighed by, protecting kids from having lower IQ and all of the kind of outcomes that come from that. So those were the main things I think I wanted to cover in my comments. Looking forward to seeing this agenda move forward, and ultimately looking forward to Troy finally proceeding with bonding so that we can get these pipes out of the ground. Maybe actually the last thing that I'll add before I turn it over is one of the questions that we have for tonight is kind of Troy's status in terms of next round funding for lead pipe replacement. Round 3 of the bipartisan infrastructure law funding was available this year. The deadline to apply was June 14th. And I don't think we've heard yet whether the administration applied for that funding or whether they've heard back from EFC and DOH on that. The kind of initial intended use plan for that funding was just released this month from DOH and EFC. And I don't believe we saw Troy on the list of eligible applications submitted. So we'd love to get clarity on whether Troy did in fact apply for that third round of grants, because the city certainly shouldn't be leaving any money on the table given the kind of scale of the crisis that's out there. So thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Okay, would anybody else like to speak? Okay.
Hi, my name is Jen Cardinal. I'm a Troy resident. I teach at RPI. I'm a mom. I don't have anything nearly as well thought out as Rob to say, but I will say that I teach about the Flint water crisis, and I now teach about the Troy water crisis. This should not be something that we're experiencing here, especially not when we have funding to move forward and do something about it. So I'm really looking forward to some quick, decisive action on this. Like, let's just get this done. It needs to happen. It's an urgent matter, and I really appreciate you moving forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else wish to speak? Okay, we will close the public forum. And I will invite anyone from the administration to come.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
The gang's all here. All right. I'll kind of kick it off. I wanted to first thank both majority, minority, and the council for joining all of us together on the legislation that is proposed this evening. We know this is a critical issue when it comes to safe and clean drinking water. There's no price tag that you could put on that. No mom, no dad, no grandparent should be afraid to turn that tap water on, whether it be for a bath, whether it be to drink. So we're really proud how far we've come in terms of to date. We have a ways to go. We're committed, and I want to thank all of you because you're committed like us to address this issue. As many of you know, I've committed, my first term here and the next 3 and however many months to address all lead pipes citywide. Is that doable? Absolutely. Is it ambitious? Yes. Some people, may shake their heads, whatever, but it is doable. On a couple fronts, where are we today? The good news, we just received the paperwork from the monies that Senator Schumer announced back in April or May. We received that a couple days ago for the request to essentially get back data to DOH, to get back engineering reports, And part of the requirements, one of the pieces of legislation that you'll be acting on tonight, which is the bond authorization for the 12 point, et cetera, mill. So that's first and foremost. Listen, we have become a model here in our state in terms of moving forward with lead pipe replacement. And, I was just interviewed and one of the reporters asked, well, do you know what other municipalities are doing in terms of the lead pipe replacement? Are they, doing a full 100%, et cetera? I know a couple municipalities are going 50-50 with homeowners, et cetera. We're committed, as we have all committed, to replace lead pipes 100% funded by the city through whatever federal, state, ARPA, water fund money, you name it. So by the end of this year, we will have spent the $2 million, if you recall, 1.2 approximately through ARPA, and then the remainder through the water fund. You'll see another piece of legislation this evening, which essentially extends what we have with the FAIN crew to finish out the end of the year. Simultaneously, we are drafting an RFP next year to get multiple contractors on board to go gangbusters next year. We want to spend that close to 13 mil. However much we can spend next year, but we all know that there's a constitutional issue. And so the other two pieces of legislation that you'll see tonight, essentially imploring our state to declare public health emergency here in the city of Troy. If they want to do it statewide, all the better. And then secondly, have the state comptroller and or the AG to weigh in to provide that letter of support, which would address that constitutionality issue. Do know we have followed up with the other municipalities regarding the bond authorization, much like tonight. Hopefully you will unanimously approve the bond authorization, but no municipality to date, as far as we know, has actually issued bonds. But saying that, we're there, and we're going to tackle this together. However, we have to tackle it. Our goal, we want to go to market by January of 2025. That's the goal in order to get us prepared for spring of 2025, hire the multiple contractors. Before then, the RFP will go out within the next month or so. And then, as I said, we'll go gangbusters. 2D, folks should be aware, we have approximately 12,000 households here in the city of Troy. We have 6,500 households, really 6,489 if you want to get technical, but around 6,500 households who have participated in the inventory. We held a canvas last week. A few of us were successful. Fortunately, Russ and his team had about 30 households and I think got 2 or 3 folks. Seamus and I hit about 30 and we got maybe about 10 households. So it depends. I want to thank Council Member McLaren for joining us. Thank you very much. I'm not sure how you did on NIRA, but
I did very well.
good. Yeah,
Talked
we
to a
did
lot of
too.
people.
Yeah, it was really good. What we're finding, just on that note with the inventory, and believe me, I'll hand it over to the technical, but just to kind of give you a feel, what I'm feeling at least, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong here at the table, we literally are doing everything humanly possible, whether it be social media, barbecues, Powers Park, flyers. I know that Joe Giroux has attended, everything from small neighborhood gatherings to large. Little Italy means North Central, you name it, we're out there. We're pumping this, but what we really feel is the most effective right now, the door to door. I mean, if we could do that 2 or 3 times a week, It's that effective. We have inspectors who literally follow us. And Councilmember Vera, you participated in a prior one. We're targeting the areas. We're using AI to target the areas of who has responded, who hasn't. And for the most part, I right now see, yeah, you could spend whatever, TV, whatever. The real crux is literally knocking on that door and getting someone to come to the door. Additionally, Sharon Martin has provided a list, so we're hitting some of those landlords who have multiple households. So we're doing that also. So stay tuned and listen, we're not giving up. We will do everything humanly possible to get that inventory up. To date, just so folks are aware, we're hitting about 190 this year. I do want to address the households. Last year, and we didn't realize, and I must disclose this, is, however you want to report how many households are getting lead pipe replacement, they were counting, like, say, a public and a private as two. We're now including that as one household. So say we hit the public side, we hit the private side, we're not counting 1, 2, 3. It's too much for staff and it gets very complicated. So now we're going by household. So when we replace a lead pipe, we're counting, even if it's, public and private, we're counting it as one household. So we're counting by household now, not by lead pipes, just to kind of give you. So this year we'll hit 100 to date, 190 households we have hit. By the end of the year, we hope to, I would think we should be able to hit another 100, 110, so maybe 300 households. What's that? Yeah. Yeah. We're right now, just to give you an idea, which is so bizarre, one dead end street, I want to say there's maybe about 30 households. Out of the 30, 20 have lead pipes. In one area, as you know, we're hitting clusters to maximize the efficiency of Thane, to obviously try to hit as many as possible because the mobilization is intense.
Makes sense.
One of the things too, just, for me, just to share this was, I was on site and I wanted to see, and we encourage the council to join, whoever would like to actually watch the lead pipe replacement. And, for me, I was just thinking, a couple hours, bam, bam, boom, boom. It's really not that simple. A simple one will take approximately 3 to 5 hours. A really simple one, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew. A complicated one, like a couple on Campbell Ave, they hit one for like 2 to 3 days. So each lead pipe, and believe me, I'm learning as we go along, and I just wanted to share this. Each lead pipe is different, and some are easier than others. So saying that though, we're committed. God bless you. As I mentioned, gangbusters, I know that we're over, you should know, by your area, council president, we're about 3 blocks south of RPI, over by Bank Street, that area, Tibbetts. We're coordinating it with our paving program, which is really working out, fabulous in terms of we don't want to go back, dig it back up again. So saying that, that's where we are in terms of some of the numbers, some of the overview. Another, just something that I heard a couple of weeks ago, 2 things quickly. One, we're out there, and when I say we, I include the private contractor. He's one of ours. We're out there every day. Do not think for a minute that lead pipes are not being replaced. They are out there every day. The Thane contractors, unless it's horrific rains, torrential rains, whatever. And they're going to work right up until it gets freezing cold or snow falls. So they're going to work hopefully right into, we're hoping early December. We'll see. You know, Mother Nature tends to be sometimes off and on. Secondly, the monies. I know that, you know, folks think, you know, Senator Schumer announces the money comes within a week. We wish it was that simple. First and foremost, like I said, we just got the request for the paperwork. CDM Camp Dresser is our consultant, and they were the consultant that actually applied for the monies with us over a year ago. We literally 2 days ago got the request for the data for the paperwork to send back for the request, which we're doing tonight to authorize the bonding. So that's first. And then secondly, the bonding is key because we don't have multi-millions or even a couple $1 million to front. You know, we need that bonding. So this constitutionality issue is key because it's on a reimbursement basis. It's not like we're getting the money through grant. You know, we're not getting the money until we provide, obviously, the lead pipe, you know, replaced, then you get reimbursed. I do hear the reimbursement actually flows pretty well, but we still have to front that money. So saying that, the constitutionality issue is key. We're going, you know, full force right now. Remember, we are constrained. We only have $2 million. So tonight, we appreciate the council, you know, hopefully acting on the resolution to extend the present contract. We have about 600K left. That'll get us through the year and get us, you know, continuous lead pipe replacement through the end of the year, simultaneously put an RFP out to get multiple contractors next year. We feel we have a good game plan. I really want to step out here. I really want to thank you, Council President, for working with us. I appreciate it. We appreciate the full council. Listen, we can all talk the talk, etc. Coming together on this really makes sense, and I truly appreciate that. So thank you. I'll hand over to our technical folks if I missed any of the big picture, but they have other things they want to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we pretty much nailed all the, you know, the 15,000 foot view of that. I don't know if anybody had any, you know, specific questions on that program. We could, Andrew Golden, by the way. Hi, to introduce myself. Thank you, Dana.
Does anybody have a question? I'm sure, come on, we gotta have some questions, right?
Yes.
Chair,
Chair.
Yes.
I would like to follow up on the question from the public. Have we indeed applied for round 3 of the funds?
That is a great question. I'm going to look into that and I'll get back to everybody on it.
If we have it, we will, but
Yeah.
we've been working with CDM.
I believe I heard the deadline was June, so if we haven't, then
Right. I'm going to, you know, check into that and I'll let you know.
thank you.
Chair.
Councilmember Vera.
I heard that we were tracking lines separately, public and private, or we were counting them in the aggregate. Have we done partial replacements?
Yeah, we've done several partial replacements this year, just some city side, the public side and private side replacements.
Is that a partial where only half of the service was lead?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
half of it will be copper and then half will be lead and we'd replace the lead portion.
So if both sides are lead, we haven't done a partial on
No,
home
No.
service. Okay.
no, we've been doing full replacements on any if we find lead on the city side and the private side.
And I apologize. I should have told you that. So I was confused also. I'm like, well, aren't they both? Don't they both contain lead? And the answer is no. Sometimes it could be public, sometimes private, sometimes not both. The majority both, but there are some just public, some just private. So now we're just counting households. It's just easier. Staff was getting boring.
Excellent. The breakdown of the 12.8 million, the majority of that's a grant. How much of that is the zero interest loan?
That is a good question. I don't have that in front of me.
It's-
At
yeah,
3
it's about
million?
3 million.
Okay.
3 million?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I had at the moment.
Okay.
Oh, actually, one more question about testing. We saw recently that the 90th percentile lead level has gone up to, I think it was 35.4% or parts per billion, I should say.
Mhm.
And I know that the EPA had sent the city of Troy some communications about our testing methods.
Mhm.
How many homes do we test throughout the city that arrives at that number? And are those homes serviced with a lead service line at this
Yeah,
point?
so under the administrative order from the EPA, we are mandated to only take samples from single-family Tier 1 houses. So that's a lead service line, a confirmed lead service line in a single-family home. And we have 76 of them on the sample plan, and we did 68 of those were available to test in the last monitoring period, which would be January 1 to June 30th of 2024.
And have those results been released? Or is the 35.4 figure, is that from 23?
I think that was the 23 number.
Okay. And those homes, you said they're on the Tier 1 list. Does that mean that both the public and the private portions of the line are lead? Or does it just mean that half of the line can be lead?
That could be just half of the line being
Just
lead.
half.
That's confirmed like in the basement before the water
Okay.
meter. Yep.
Thank you. Now I am done.
Okay. So I have a question now with the inventory. What do you say the percentage is where we're at right now?
53.3%.
Okay.
Chair,
Council President?
thank you. Just to clarify for my benefit, the 2 million that's pretty much been spent to date, that would be the ARPA and the water fund money, correct?
Yes, that's
The-
correct.
Prior to that, we spent the 500,000 for notification and
Yeah, so that we got
inventory notification, that sort of thing.
and that's the other grant monies that you were speaking of.
Right.
That was for replacements.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so that was $516,000 and that was for replacements. And that was last year, we used that funding and that was only used on the public side. And we supplemented that money with water fund revenue for the private side.
That was going to be my question, is whether or not we used ARPA and water for both sides or just for one side.
Right, and that's what started a lot of the confusion with the numbers as far as the private versus public. We had to track each one of those separately. So when we submitted everything to the state, they could only be submitted for like a public side replacement for reimbursement.
Okay, thank you.
Chair. Councilmember McLaren?
October, in the middle of October is when we need to submit the inventory.
Yep,
correct?
that's correct. October 16th.
Okay, so are we going to plan some more Canvas events?
Yes,
So we can
definitely.
get the number
Yes.
up? Okay,
Yep, we're going to do some more canvassing events. We also have some machine learning software that we're using to forecast some lead services. So pretty much we upload all of our data into the software program. It spits out some areas to check. We go out and check those houses to see if, if it was correct or false on the lead or copper. We put that information back into the software and then it sharpens that even more and puts it back out.
okay, thank you.
And that software also put it into the DOH required format for submittal.
Okay. Now I have another question, and this, I guess I have a lot of people asking me how it works, and so I need to understand it. Are you separate from the lead line replacing? Is there also work being done to identify where the lead is in the streets?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's another big part of it. We have another crew that is out just doing exploratory digging at the curb box.
Okay,
So say we can't get in touch with a homeowner or a resident, if we're on that street for replacement, we use a vacuum excavation technique and dig around the curb box. And we can see both sides of the line right there without even interfering with,
Right.
interruption of water service or, communicating with the homeowner.
Okay, so that's being done in other places. The reason I ask is I had a couple people say to me that, someone came and checked their,
Mhm.
their line.
Yep.
And then they were told that someone would be back to check the street. But they weren't really given a time frame.
Gotcha.
So-
I understand. Okay. Yeah. So that's, that's one of those things where it's, we're not there, that following day or something like that, but we will eventually get to each one of those curb boxes.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
That could just to build off that a little bit, council member, is that, so the benefit too of doing that backing ahead of time, and we're having a lot of success, just like the mayor mentioned up on Bank Street, up Highland Ave, because when you remobilize this, the group that's actually doing the work, replacing the lines, you want to send them where there's an opportunity to replace 50, 60 lines compared to maybe 10, which are
Right.
just as important, quite frankly. That's part of what held us up a little bit with Campbell's Ave. They ran into, it just was tough rock and shale or whatever, and it was a lot harder than say up on Highland. So that's why that's so helpful too. And we're working on some more money on getting that back, right? So we can even get another crew. So that way we can maximize where we're going, so we're not remobilizing every time, which is costly and timely, just to add that point.
Okay, and is there a schedule for that? Like, will the people up on North Lake Avenue know that you're coming one day just so that they know that it's, in the works?
There is a bit of a schedule of it, just kind of like the paving a little bit. It's a little, not forever changing. I mean, we get notice once we're up in that neighborhood, but to say where we may be 3 months from now, tough to say, just because, it's kind of a constantly moving program and plan.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I just had one more question. Hoosick Street, does that require being in the middle of Hoosick Street to check? I mean, how is that gonna work?
It's gonna be ugly.
Yeah, that's good. As we all know, that's a, DOT road. It's very busy there. So there's a main, a larger water main that runs up the middle of the street. And then there's also a service main off to the side of that. And the services come off of that. So that's more to the side of the road.
Okay,
So we won't be right on like the middle of the yellow line digging with all 4 lanes stopped. So
Okay.
hopefully, there might be we might go down 1 lane on each side of the road at some point for those
Okay.
properties.
okay, but we'll know ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
I
you.
think that would require a permit and everything to shut down the lane and all that stuff.
Chair,
Council President?
I just want to make sure we're still distributing pitchers, Brita
Ye-
pitchers and
Yeah,
filters.
absolutely. Yep. Yeah, we've put
Do you know
out
anyone who-
770 of those to date. I still have more. So as we're finding more houses with a lead service line, we're handing those out. We have plenty of replacement cartridges. So every 6 months, we're contacting homeowners and getting them the replacement cartridges. I've got more of those too. So as people do the inventory, they're, signing up for those happily and we're passing them out.
Thank you.
Chair.
Councilmember Vera?
What's the status of the corrosion control project?
The corrosion control for the temporary ortho system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we should turn that on yesterday with the engineering folks on hand. So that's been operating yesterday and today. Everything seems to be going well so far. And we don't anticipate having any problems.
I have a question about that
Okay.
also. Are you also?
Yeah.
So I saw something that, it's safe, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
but
a
it
common
could-
practice in water
It
treatment.
could make your water cloudy though? Is
If,
that-
if done incorrectly, yes.
Okay,
It's going to be a very like gradual, increase of the dosage until we start to see that lead reduction that we want. And we'll start to see that within 2 to 4 months.
okay,
So perhaps not in this next round of testing, but in the following 6 months after that, we should see a significantly lower, parts per billion count on that 90th percentile calculation.
okay. All right. But, okay. Yeah, I saw that somewhere. So I was just had a question
Chair.
about that. Councilmember Casey?
Identified lines that haven't been replaced, what's that number up to?
We're at 1,354
Wow.
at 53%. So we're forecasting, to potentially double that number, for total lead lines.
Is there any backlog as far as if people call or inquire through the city's website, getting somebody out there? Is there any backlog with that, or it's?
No, Joe's been awesome as far as getting out there when people call, and the folks in the lab, make appointments, and he's pretty quick to get out there and inventory their line, explain to them how the program works, and then offer them the pitcher.
I have one more question. I think it's a legal one. We've had numerous people talk in the last month in emails saying basically, why aren't you doing this? And it was somewhat hurtful. I think of course I want to, do this. And tonight we kind of heard that. We heard someone say, oh, there's no hurdles and it should be done, but we're not hearing this. Where is the miscommunication? Because I think we need clarification on this.
That's an excellent question. So I can have an opinion on the constitutionality. You could have an opinion on the constitutionality. Other people can have an opinion on the constitutionality. But when our bond counsel issues an opinion, it's an actual formal document with legal repercussions. And what he's saying when he issues that interpretation and his opinion that it is 100% lawful is he's guaranteeing repayment of that bond, and he's putting his own firm's money behind his guarantee. So if we issue a bond for $12.8 million and he's wrong, then his firm, we as a city will not be able to pay that bond back, and his firm will have to pay that 12.8 million back. Obviously, if we can get by with a bond that's lower than 12.8 million, and there's every indication that we can, if we could get by with $1 million bond on a rolling basis, that ameliorates some of the risk. But there is one person who has to be convinced and has to be confident of the constitutionality and the lawfulness of the bond, and that's our bond counsel. We're doing everything we can to assist him in reaching a conclusion that it's constitutional. Any formal opinion letter from any of the state agencies, including the Attorney General and the Controller, would go a long way in helping bolster that finding that it's constitutional. But the fact that some of these entities are not issuing formal opinion letters is giving pause to all bond counsel that have to stand behind these bonds. So we're again hopeful that in the coming months that will become a certainty and not just a varying opinion. But there is one law firm that has to be convinced, and that's our bond counsel.
Thank you.
Chair,
Council President?
I have a question, and I'm not sure if it's I think it might be for Russ. It's about the Tom Hannock project. I'm hearing that it is not going to be continued, and that is concerning. So if that's not accurate, please.
No,
Good,
no,
okay.
it's not accurate.
All right, where are we with it then?
We've got some land ownership issues. We need to obtain right of way from two landowners, and we have to overcome a very deep excavation on the order of 60 feet. So that's what we're coping with right now, looking at the best engineering alternative to deal with that.
Do we have any time frame at all?
We're going to be meeting with CDM Smith to go over the depth of the excavation, and at that time we're going to go over the time frame, and I can let you know a little bit better after we meet, if we meet on that.
That would be helpful. If whatever we can do to squash these rumors would be
that's
helpful.
Right.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
PST? Yeah, when are they going to be ready?
I'm here now. Somebody can hear that.
Okay, we'll do the public forum first. Okay. Yep.
He's already here.
Oh, yeah.
Are we set?
Yeah, I believe we're set.
I'm looking at Maria. trying to
Oh.
get Maria's
Ooh.
attention. Brendan Kennedy.
And then the geothermal people.
Whoever's sending that to you, it would be helpful if they would send it to me as well.
Yeah, I mean, he sent it to me real quick this afternoon. I was,
It would be nice
yeah, I hear
to
you.
share it.
Yep, I hear you.
Okay, Maria, are we set? We're recording? Okay, very good. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Troy City Council Finance Committee. It is August 22nd, and it is about 6:09 according to my clock. Would you please join me in opening the meeting with the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Keel,
Present.
Councilmember Brosnan,
Here.
Councilmember McLaren,
Present.
Councilmember Vera,
Present.
Councilmember Soriento,
Here.
Councilmember Casey,
Present.
and Council President Steele. All present and accounted for. At this time, we will have our public forum. It's an opportunity for you to speak on any item on the agenda. We have before us 4 ordinances and a number of resolutions that have already been highlighted in the previous committee meeting, but we welcome any comments at this time on any item on the agenda. If you would, please state your name.
Hi. I should have a clip card. Oops.
It may
won't
not
go in there.
It
You
may
might
not
have to hold
fit.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
We're working on it.
So my name is Lena Henriksen. I live in Rensselaer. I don't live in Troy. However, I'm part of the Get the Lead Out of Troy coalition. I have lived in Michigan and I have seen the impact of lead poisoning in Flint. That's why I care a lot about this issue, because it's a real issue with implications for children, for the larger generation of population here. I must say I am encouraged by the way Get the Lead Out of Troy coalition, us, and many of the people who are here have come together to push this issue forward. And I just felt a little encouraged to come up here because we had a whole panel of people speaking, but the fact is that we were not mentioned. And maybe I should wear bigger shoes or whatever, but the fact is that this issue is on the agenda because people like myself and others have continuously come to the city council meeting and talked about the issue of lead pipes and why it's so dangerous and why we need to get the pipes off the ground. We've been tabling at the farmers market, we've been canvassing. We were the ones who started this whole project. And so I think it's just, a little, it's in its right place to also acknowledge that ordinary people, when they come together, have the power to push things forward, because we understand that this is a collective effort that we need to raise with the city council to make sure that this happens. And also to say that we will not take our eyes off this issue. I mean, the bonding, yes. We've heard from Rob, who is an expert in the field, that this is something that's moving forward on many different fronts. So we just want to make sure that there is no hesitation to get the resolution passed and also go forward with the bonding. There are people in this room that have children with high lead levels. It's serious. So if we have offended anybody in, you know, the cause of this, children with high lead levels, come on, man. Like, that's very, very important. And therefore, we will use our power together as a collective to push this forward. And if that means some, you know, direct emails or coming here, so be it. Because we want to make sure this happens. And we also want to get some credit for the fact that it is happening. So lastly, I want to say thank you to the City Council for taking this up. We have great faith in the fact that this can pass and that we can get somewhere in a faster manner. Thank you.
Thank you. No. Does anyone else wish to speak to the council on any agenda item?
Good evening. My name is Liz Moran. I'm the New York Policy Advocate with Earth Justice. I'm also a Troy resident. I lived at 53 2nd Street in Troy. So I'm going to have part of my comments wearing my Earth Justice hat and part of them as a Troy resident. And I'll note exactly at that moment. There's no more basic expectation of government than to provide residents with clean and safe drinking water. I want to emphasize the resolution before you today for the bonding, so Troy can begin or hopefully expedite the rate at which they're replacing lead service lines happens swiftly, has to be a course correction for this administration, because what's been happening to date is deeply alarming. First of all, the urgency of the issue has become very clear with the most recent annual water quality report, which shows that Troy has some of the highest detections of lead levels in its drinking water in the entire state, and it looks to be even higher than those that were reported in Flint, Michigan. So I don't want to preach to the choir here about the consequences of lead, but I do want to emphasize many people often think this is just a problem for little kids, which should be extremely alarming in itself. But it's not just little kids. It has impacts on the entire population. Exposure to lead in adults can lead to increased blood pressure, kidney and brain problems, infertility, and impotence. This is a public health crisis, and it needs to be treated as such. And I think folks should be very alarmed to know that Troy did not apply, at least as far as we see on the intended use plan for the third round of bill funding. I'm happy to provide copies of the current eligible project list where Troy is not listed. Interestingly enough, the only Rensselaer village I saw was Hoosick Falls, which is pretty tiny. So that should be embarrassing. So if folks want a copy of that, I'm happy to share it. Regarding the constitutionality question, number one, there's some resolutions asking for some official opinions. It's unfortunate that it appears, at least according to documents from the organization Timber, this is the first official correspondence coming from the city to these entities. So that seems to be coming very late. Regardless of that, Earth Justice feels very strongly the city does not need to wait for these opinions to begin acting. Authorize these bonds and replace lead service lines as expeditiously as possible. I'm going to read an excerpt from the letter. All of you should have received the letter at approximately 4:30-ish this afternoon, citing the legal argument for the constitutionality of this bonding. I think one of the most compelling things here is to note that the Attorney General does agree with this opinion. EPA requested comments on their on lead regulations, and our AG, along with a number of AGs, wrote comments regarding a Harvard study looking into this question of, is it constitutional for states to use public dollars for what could be considered private property? And what they found was total agreement. So from the comments of the AG's office, in addition to the legal authority cited in the Harvard study, the New York Attorney General is aware of both municipal water systems and privately owned utilities in New York that have funded lead service line replacement on customer property. New York's Public Service Commission, which regulates privately owned water utilities, has specifically authorized the use of rate revenue for this purpose, stating, quote, "Water safety, particularly related to the dangers of potential lead poisoning, is of utmost importance. No customer should suffer the risk associated with lead service lines because they lack the resources to have the line replaced." So feel free to reach out if there are any questions about this letter. We detail the argument much further in there. So as I mentioned earlier, we really feel that the city needs to move to spend and replace as rapidly as possible. But in the meantime, given the urgency of this issue, we also want to recommend that the city looks into offering filters to residents at no cost, along with 6 months worth of replacement cartridges. And so now I'm going to put on my Troy resident hat. I have a friend who's a new homeowner in Troy, and she's really excited to be a homeowner here. And she was utterly alarmed at the levels of lead that were detected in her home. Understandably, city can't immediately replace her lead service line. It needs to be done with a plan in conjunction, with potentially tearing up the street, et cetera. But she's really scared. She's like, I bathe in this water all the time. I'm drinking this water. I didn't know it was an issue, and I got myself a filter. Ultimately, the city is scared of being sued. And I'm sorry, as a Troy resident, I want to say suck it up. The likelihood that the city is sued seems incredibly low. The circumstances that would be required for a lawsuit seems sort of questionable here, that someone would actually go out and do this. And also, the city can ultimately be sued over anything. Cities, people get sued all the time. It is dependent upon government to have the political will to do what is right and put residents and their health first. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And would you please make that document available? The list of municipalities?
Yes.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to address the council at this time?
Hi, good evening again, all. Rob Hayes again, Senior Director of Clean Water with Environmental Advocates New York. I know I addressed the council during the public utilities meeting, but there was some additional information that I wanted to add on the constitutionality issue with lead pipes bonding. I know I mentioned a little earlier that the State Environmental Facilities Corporation Board met today and talked about the issue of constitutionality and mentioned that they made some statements there about whether or not they believe that it is constitutional to move forward with a bond like this. And I actually do have the exact quote from that meeting, which I would love to read you. EFC stated, "There is ample case law and opinions by the comptroller spanning years that really support the notion that, notwithstanding the incidental private benefit of replacing private lead pipes, if we're furthering a public purpose and talking about a neurotoxin that's knocking double-digit IQ points off of kids, you can't get more robust than that." And I think we absolutely agree with that position of EFC. This is a state agency, the one in charge of distributing this funding. That really, I think, shows you where the state's head is on this issue. And the last thing I want to say about that board meeting is that EFC also mentioned that when developing and enacting the state law last year, establishing a period of probable usefulness to bond for lead pipe replacements, that they either polled or were engaged with bond councils when developing that legislation. And so I would highly recommend that the city be engaging with EFC to see who they were talking to on the bond council side. Because at the end of the day, if the city needs to find another bond council to move forward with this work, then that may be a step that the city has to take. Because at the end of the day, these pipes have to get out of the ground and we have to eliminate lead in drinking water in the city of Troy. So thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Rob. Does anyone else wish to address the council?
Hi, David Banks, 46 Bell Avenue. I want to pick up where the last speaker left, which is, if I, granted, it doesn't seem likely that, this issue of constitutionality holds water. It seems like it's very clear that this is something that a city can do, is bond to expedite the use of money that was granted to us. But even if that is true, and that is why we've been spending so much precious time doing this and letting children get lead poisoning, just fire the bond agent. Like, just get a new bond agent. Like, this is a city that just dissolved its entire planning commission, like for no clear reason. This city council, the previous city council, also designated a negative declaration for 1011 Second Avenue. That was way out of line. That was very strange thing to do. This city does extraordinary things when it wants to get it done, and it seems so strange that there's like this paucity of desire or expeditiousness to get this done. When it's so clear that there are multiple, not only is every government agency above you saying like, yes, you can do this, but also if the issue really is that, the bonding agent, is the only opinion that matters, get a new bonding agent. Like that's the end of the story here. Get it done. All right. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, Tom. Jeez.
Thank you, David. Does anyone else wish to address the council at this time?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, everybody. I'm Greg Campbell Cohen, and I live at Mount Ida in beautiful Troy, New York. What I just distributed to you guys is the intended use plans the city submitted for rounds 1 and 2 for the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund project listing form. And I just want you guys to note how many lines need to be filled out on those. If this was not submitted, which I hope it was, and DOH's bipartisan infrastructure law lead service line list, which is 11 pages long, I hope they have erroneously missed Troy on that. But that is a real faux pas if this was not submitted, and that's the reason why we're missing an enormous amount of money for lead service line replacement. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Does anyone else wish to address the council? Seeing none, we'll move on with our agenda. At this time, I believe we have a presentation.
Hi there all. Before Brendan Kennedy, sorry, I'm gonna just pull it out. Yeah. I think it broke. All right, good evening again. Brendan Kennedy is here from BST. You'll see a resolution in your packet to hire BST. Brendan is going to talk about the services, hello Brendan, that they have offered. Just to give folks an update what's going on, and we have informed the council what is going on. Essentially, as you know, we're the first administration not to have continuity, unfortunately, with the comptroller. So, prior administrations have, had Joe Mazzarello Sr. for decades, then fast forward to Deb, then fast forward to Andy. We've had great folks here. We're the first administration for a comptroller to leave before taking office. As we know, the 2023 books were not closed. Hence, we went on 2 tracks. We hire ProNexus while simultaneously searching for a comptroller. ProNexus, and I'll let Brendan talk a little bit, but they essentially were hired by the city council and the administration and myself to deliver a product, and that being the AFR, the annual financial report, close 2023, work with the president comptroller to get things moving. Let's just put it nicely, ProNexus did not deliver the product that they had stated that they would. The AFR was filed with inaccurate numbers and corrections that needed to be done. That was unbeknownst to us until the comptroller, unfortunately, as you saw during the second quarter, had a meltdown. So saying that, let's fast forward. Where are we? We, unfortunately, do not have a financial problem, but we do have an accounting reporting problem right now. And so BST has, we've been talking to BST over the past several weeks to correct these accounts. So picture, last year, how the prior comptroller, he would work off of a spreadsheet in Excel, and this is common, and then enter it at the end of the year. Because the comptroller left, that didn't happen. So essentially, ProNexus came in, and these folks tried to enter various accounts. Taxes came in this high. Maybe the expenditures came in this high, supplement A to B, etc. ProNexus filled in various entries, etc. Using our KVS system, which is our accounting system. Whole other issue. It's an archaic system. We're underway, and we will be coming to the council within the next few weeks, hopefully for September, if not September, October, to implement a new accounting system. And I'll have Brendan talk about KVS. It's extinct. So fast forward, you and I all know the second quarter, some of the numbers were off in terms of the accounting. So BST, who literally works with other municipalities for similar situations, some are worse off than others, but saying that they fix it and they come in, they correct the entries, etc. So what we are asking the council to do tonight is to engage with BST. Brendan will talk about that. Close 2023. Look to the 2025 budget. I'm mandated to present a budget to you by October 10th. I will be doing that. However, I need these accounts straightened out ASAP. Saying all of that, I'll hand off to Brendan. One last note, we did send a very not so nice letter to ProNexus where we are requesting all funds to be reimbursed to us. They did not deliver the product that they told us they would. That letter did go toward the end of last week to ProNexus, and we'll keep you apprised of that. So saying that, yes, disappointing, but very fixable. So hence, this is Brendan Kennedy from BST, one of the partners. I introduce you, Brendan, to the full city council. And if you could take it away before Dina, did I miss anything? Okay, thank you.
Hi, folks. How are you? As the mayor indicated, my name is Brendan Kennedy. I'm a partner at BST. I would have been there on site to greet you. However, I am just getting over bronchitis. This is the most normal I've felt, and this is unfortunately the most normal I look. BST, I've been with them for a little over 12 years. I work exclusively with municipalities. And unfortunately, I've been getting more and more of these kinds of phone calls. And what's going on a little bit globally here, or nationally, if you will, is if you were to look at the trends in accounting, it's a really tight environment for locating qualified accountants. And so municipalities are struggling as well to find resources internally, to sufficiently meet their needs. So it's not uncommon to reach out to folks such as myself to assist in closing things out. While, we're a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of timing, we still do have time to get through 2023, go through your interim 2024 numbers. We have a plan for that, and get you guys some information so that you can make the budgeting decisions that you need to as a group. BST is located in Latham, New York. I would say we work with a little over 100, maybe 130 municipalities across the state of New York. And we have a growing list of situations like this that we've been dealing with, including, working through the issues with the KVS software. So we'll have boots on the ground, hopefully as soon as Tuesday, if the contract is approved. We'll be reporting directly to the mayor and her team, keeping everyone posted with the progress we make. We have some preliminary numbers that were given to us, including the 2023 AFR. I can see some of the issues in the AFR already, which I'll summarize for you, which might be useful too as you pursue recoupment from your previous service firm. So there's a proposal out there that outlines the services, but really what we've discussed is kind of a triage approach right now, where we go through and rectify 2023 as quickly as possible, and then go through and get some interim quality data as of 2020. We're thinking July 31st, 2024, reconstruct a balance sheet, and then roll that forward to the end of the year so you guys have a sense of where your fund balances will sit by fund, and that way you can do the budgeting you need to do. Beyond the actual corrections of accounts, there's a training component to this too, and an assessment component. That's going to be deferred until the latter part of the fall so that we can get all these numbers squared away for you folks. But the goal would be also to do an assessment of your finance function and go through processes and go through controls and make recommendations as to where the gaps are. A lot of municipalities are going through this struggle of finding a comptroller. Many of them are. There's been turnovers. I can give you examples right in Rensselaer County alone of different municipalities that have struggled to find people. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge going forward. But obviously, with our assistance, we're confident that we can get you squared away and help you with your transition as you hire a new finance person as well. if there's any questions anyone has for me specifically, I'm happy to entertain them. And looking forward to working with you folks and helping you through this.
Any questions from the council? I have one. I can kick it off, Brendan. Do I understand you're going to gear us up for budget preparation, but you will not be having a direct role in budget preparation?
I've not been asked to help with budget preparation. That's really not my specialty. My goal is to give you the information so that you can make your budgetary decisions.
That's what I thought I heard. Thank you.
Yeah. I believe our firm mission, and I should have this memorized, is helping folks make confidently informed decisions. And that's exactly my intent, is to get your information organized in a manner so that you folks can make the decisions you need to make.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President, for clarifying that. Brendan's right on the money. So are you. We will do the budget, but we need those numbers, and that's all. BST will provide accurate numbers, and they will provide them through July 31st, which will give us an idea of accurate numbers, where we are, et cetera. So, you know, you should know we're working with departments right now. We have, you know, the big picture, but as Brenda mentioned, the fund balances, et cetera, this will provide us, you know, the numbers to allow us to develop the 2025 budget.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Council President?
Councilmember Vera.
Would it be possible for the council to receive a copy of the arrangement letter described in the resolution?
The engagement letter.
It says arrangement.
Arrangement,
Yeah.
engagement.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, I just have 2 edits to get to Brandon, and we should have that wrapped up by tomorrow.
Okay. That is the contract. Ultimately, it's that letter that is the contract we are approving.
Correct. Correct. You should have it in, actually, it should, is it in the packet?
Could we get a copy even if it needs to be edited, just so that we have a copy before we vote on a contract?
Is it in the backup?
I thought it was in in your package.
It should be in the backup.
Did anybody else see it?
Can you
No, I
please
didn't.
have the
I didn't.
memorandum?
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll print it right now.
Perfect.
It's just
Thank
a
you.
couple of minor changes that we're making to the original agreement.
My only other question is this, I see that it's single source. Is there a max dollar amount that is this an hourly rate? Is, you know, we pay until it's done, or is there a max amount not to exceed limit on what this contract will?
It's an hourly rate with with a range estimate.
Okay. Thank you.
Which is on page 3 when you get the.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Council President.
Councilmember Brosnan.
This one's for Brandon. You said you worked for a
Brandon.
firm. How many accountants work in your firm, and how many would be coming here to help out?
Good question. We have over 100 employees at BST. You know, I would say maybe 20 to 25% of our revenue is derived from the municipal sector. So it's a significant area of focus for the firm. I believe there was an example client list just to give you some sense of the different municipalities that we work with in the area and across the state. I'm envisioning, I'm thinking we're going to have at least 2 on site next week, and then gearing up based on the, what we find in the level of effort and the timeliness of information. I could see it growing to about 4.
All right, 2 to 4. Thank you.
Council President,
Councilmember McLaren.
in that arrangement letter that we're going to get, does that list the municipalities? Because it's not listed anywhere in what we have here.
I can provide the list to the mayor for distribution to you folks.
I believe it does have a sample list within as well as the bios of the key people that will be working on the project.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you then. Brendan, thank you so much for joining us. I think we're good and hope you feel better.
Thank you so much. I look forward to working with you all.
And we with you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Brennan.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Right, then we will move on with our agenda. Under ordinances, ordinance 42, ordinance amending the 2024 miscellaneous special revenue fund budget. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, a second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on the ordinance. No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 42 is adopted 7-0. Ordinance 43, ordinance transferring funds within the special grants budget. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll give this to Councilmember Soriento with a second by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion on the ordinance.
Council President.
Councilmember McLaren.
Is there anyone who could speak to what youth programs in particular will be using this money by the end of September?
This money is actually leftover COVID funding that the city had received.
Right.
And this is all we have left of that money. So we are moving all the dollars from all the little pieces left over into the youth programs, which is going to fund additional lifeguards for an extended period of time instead of ending at the end of the month to go a little further. Keep the pool open a little longer.
Do we have any sense of how long that will be? Do we, given the amount of money?
It's got to be spent by the end of September, so.
Do we think it will be open through September or?
So this will help actually keep the pool open through Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
When was the pool supposed? Oh, okay.
This week, yeah. Just in the, sorry, but they also did go a bit over budget too. There was, they stayed open a little longer. I guess in past practice, if it was raining for an hour, they shut down for the day. We didn't do that this year either, so it will help all around. And like Carolyn said, it has to be spent. That's a good purpose for it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you both. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 43 is adopted 7-0. Ordinance 44, ordinance transferring funds within the 2024 general fund budget. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Keel, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on the resolution.
Council President.
Councilmember Vera.
I'm just wondering what other items come out of the contingency line item and how much funding is still left in that account?
So the contingency account is being used to transfer money into these other accounts because it's funds that we have available that aren't allocated to any accounts. So if we don't have a purpose for using the contingency, we wouldn't allocate it to an account.
So the budget had just shy of $1 million in the contingency account.
Correct.
How many dollars are in that account today?
What you're seeing here is, it's our second transfer. We actually transferred 1,391 on February 1st, 24 with ordinance 2.
Okay, so the contingency account has nearly the full amount still available.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And then this transfer is
Is going to-
212,000. Okay.
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you, Gabrielle.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All in favor, ordinance 44?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 44 is adopted, 7-0. Ordinance 45, ordinance amending the 2024 general fund and garbage fund budgets. Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Keel. Discussion on the ordinance.
Council President.
Councilmember Vera.
Is the line item that utilities, streetlights, is that the line item that we would use to pay for replacement streetlights if a streetlight is defective, if it's been hit?
Bless you.
Bless you.
Sorry, Councilman, what was the question?
The line item utilities, streetlights, is that also for streetlight maintenance, or is that just just electrical service?
Just electrical services, yep, from National Grid.
Okay. Thank you. The next question I have, I see that the cleaning charges for uniforms are up 15%, but it seems like we're increasing that line item by 50%. Is there another purpose for these funds, or is it just cleaning charges?
This budget line item is also used to purchase T-shirts.
Okay.
For employees.
Okay. So it's new uniforms in addition to the cleaning
Correct.
services?
Yes.
Okay.
Council President,
Councilmember McLaren.
I'm just asking because I didn't realize, do the uniforms get sent to cleaners? Is that?
So we have a company that comes and cleans the uniforms for some of our departments, and then other departments, they get a clothing allowance. But for this particular reason, it's for cleaning of the uniforms in the central garage.
Okay, thank you. And I just had one other question. The postage for the residential pickup is being completely moved into the bulk pickup. Is that, will we not need the residential pickup funds?
So we have not expended funds out of the residential pickup postage line in the past few years. We are currently over budget in bulk pickup because most of our mailings are charged out of that budget line.
Okay.
So we needed the funds from residential pickup to move into bulk pickup so that we can cover the expense.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? Ordinance 45 is adopted. Thank you again, Gabrielle. We'll move on to resolutions. Resolution 125, resolution of Troy City Council declaring intention to act as lead agency pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act in connection with a proposed project to develop a clean thermal energy network within the city of Troy, including certain improvements within Riverfront Park, and authorizing the scheduling and conduct of a public hearing pursuant to section 1411 D3 of the Not-for-Profit Corporation Law to consider leasing city property to the Troy Local Development Corporation for the proposed project. Councilmember Casey, and I believe this was also Councilmember Steele, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Keel, do I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Casey. Discussion on the resolution.
We have CHA here to do presentation on the geothermal if you're interested. For the
Okay.
members that don't-
Sure.
Good evening. Just one moment while I join the Zoom link.
Sure.
Apologize for the delay. I mean, okay. Yep.
Just interesting. Yeah, probably.
Okay. Appreciate your patience.
Sure. Thank you.
So the geothermal project that is subject of the seeker resolution that's been provided and is being reviewed. The intention of this presentation is give background, kind of explain the development thus far that the group has been going through and what brought us to where we are today, and then be able to answer any questions that you may have of the project. So jumping right in. So starting off, really wanted to give a quick background on what geothermal is as quick fundamental. So geothermal really utilizing the energy that exists within the ground as a heat exchanger to be able to be used within devices within buildings or within centralized energy centers to provide heating or cooling to primarily building systems for space heating and cooling, and in some cases domestic hot water creation. Really leveraging the fact that the ground temperature is traditionally more stable and more consistent than outside air temperature, and therefore providing an energy efficiency improvement and a performance improvement as compared to a more traditional device that would try to use the outside air across seasons. So throughout this project, we've been working with a number of major project stakeholders. I'll start off by pointing on the right side of the slide here. There are two primary owners of the proposed system that we've been working through. The Troy LDC owning the energy source and sink, so the geothermal bore field, the pumping station that would run the fluid through the bore field, and then partnering with National Grid, who would take from that energy center and distribute the energy around to the proposed customers within the district. Included in the various sides of the project, there are a number of project stakeholders. Siemens and myself at CHA represent the professional service side, so we've been supporting in feasibility study and in support of construction management, and really helping kind of define the project and work on pricing overview. National Grid, as I described, the owner operator of the distribution system, which includes a set of pumps that would pump the fluid throughout the project district. The LDC, the owner of the resource, NYSERDA has been a very strong partner on this through the duration, helped supported several stages of feasibility assessment we'll get into, as well as a major contribution to the construction of the bore field. City administration and city council, working with the various agencies within the city on, seeker lead agency and approval of leases. And then all of this process, and in particular National Grid side, is related to a Public Service Commission filing, which is through the Utility Thermal Energy Networks and Jobs Act. So National Grid, all of the kind of development of this project gets run through the PSC prior to any approvals. Just really quick recap of timeline. I mentioned already, NYSERDA supported a number of studies. We began our first study phase in 2018, and that looked at the entirety of the city. Started honing in on nodes of the project or the city and various districts that seemed to make the most sense from local development standpoint, as well as availability of resources and so on. Continuing through the July 2022 is when the UTENJA, the Utility Thermal Energy Networks and Jobs Act, was passed. That's what really brought National Grid to the forefront of being able to be a partner within this project. There were several rounds of filings that went to the Public Service Commission and various stages of change in how their process was going to flow. And we're working toward now final deadline of application to the Public Service Commission by January of 2025. That's the final stage gate that then allows potential construction of these systems. The project components. So this is a map, an aerial map that shows the physical footprint of the bore field project and the thermal energy network. What's in red on the top left is really emphasizing the components that would be owned and operated by the LDC as the energy source. So within Riverfront Park, it's proposed to install the bore field. Right now, it's 195 of them at roughly 600-foot depth each. System pumps, all of that being the LDC component. Then the blue line there, or dashed blue line, is indicating the distribution circuit that National Grid would be primarily responsible for, as well as the interface with the utility customers. Same business model they have now. The current off-takers that are supportive of the project as letter of intent signatories are the Troy Savings Bank Music Hall. We're communicating with the Hedrick Hudson building owners, the Art Center, and the American Theater. So that's the primary short-term intended that we're working with. And then we've built out a system that is potentially able to serve the footprint of the district that's outlined there. And then there are a number of potential off-takers, inclusive of the ones that are listed here for future. So the current project status on the bore field side of the project. So the component that is proposed to be owned by the LDC and constructed by LDC, our design has been complete as of about a month ago for that component of the project. On the National Grid side, the final design for distribution, as well as customer interface and potentially some upgrades to customer equipment, is proposed by the end of the year. And then the submission to Public Service Commission targeting January 2025 at the latest, the beginning of the new year. And that would put us in kind of a track to be able to construction start and get some of the system components built out by Q2 or Q3 of 2025. Just a quick recap of some of the expected project benefits. On the city side, really creating a clean energy network and potential clean energy utility within downtown Troy as primary benefit, or a major benefit. Through the various stages of the projects, we've been able to secure a significant amount of funding and funding support through both National Grid and NYSERDA. Utilization of public park space, kind of helping to benefit also park restoration work, which is kind of the next bullet down. There's a park restoration for Riverfront Park proposed as part of this process. ownership and maintenance of the ownership and return of potential, funding and revenue possible from that system to the city, and reintroduction of that, and really just allowing the city to be a pioneer in this type of a space. This is the only project out of 14 proposed in U10 that has this kind of ownership structure based on current state of things. On the customer side, really looking to help improve overall energy consumption profiles for all of the potential building owners. Also providing a stable utility rate base for those same customers for at least 5 years that the pilot program is currently allowed through PSC, and then potentially extended through rate case filings in the future. And then in many cases, the building owners are also potentially receiving benefit of upgraded new equipment to enable them to be compatible with the network if they need it, which is an added benefit to them on the building side. And then up from a higher level, really supportive of the statewide clean energy goals. Quick overview of the considerations of the park and some of the expected, duration of closure. So depending on construction start, if project were to start on January 1, we all understand PSC approval will take longer, and there's a process we'll go through, but estimating a rough 6 to 7 month timeline for park closure for installation. This will be constructed likely in phases to allow for some kind of maintain utilization potentially of that space. And we already touched on the depth of wells and the quantity of wells, but that's the footprint that's intended to be covered within Riverfront Park. Once the bore field is completed, then the park restoration project would then resume afterward. And so this has been carried within project budget and proposed into National Grid and PSC. So the restoration and some of the initial improvements to the park are planned to be carried within the project. There's a approximate 2-month timeline that's anticipated to complete that effort once the geothermal bores are completed. Critical path items, permitting from the Public Service Commission standpoint, that's a January deadline, kind of combined submission with both National Grid and the LDC and team. Building permits will be needed for the atrium pump station and for any of the major customer retrofits or upgrades, and likely a road cut permit for the distribution network that would be coordinated with National Grid. Seeker lead agency, this determination is a critical path item and part of what's on the agenda for today. And on the LDC side, the action required is supportive approval of lease arrangements. There's a number of components of this where city property is proposed to be leased to LDC, and in one case, sublet again to National Grid for their pump station. And that's conclusion of my presentation.
Thank you. Are there
Happy to
any
take
questions from members of the council? I really appreciate that. I think especially for the new members, that was very helpful.
Thank you.
Any other further discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 125 is adopted 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 126, a resolution to commemorate the service of Michael Coca Jr. by designating that portion of Grand Street between 4th Street and 5th Avenue as Michael Coca Jr. Way. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Okay, we're flipping a coin on that one, and we'll give it to Councilmember Soriento with a second by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion on the resolution. I would take that as a indication that we are all supportive of this, but all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 126 is adopted unanimously. Resolution 127, resolution of the Troy City Council requesting that the New York State Controller and the New York State Attorney General issue advisory opinions on whether a city may lawfully issue general obligation bonds to fund replacement of all public and privately owned lead water service lines in the municipality. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan with a second by Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on the resolution. Well, I think I speak for my colleagues in that this is one of several opportunities. We hope to clarify this situation. I think it strengthens the fact that we want to work together on this and get this done. It's a serious problem. It's one that we take seriously and that we're acting seriously on. You know, there are no Democratic lead pipes or Republican lead pipes. It's lead pipes. And I'm just really thrilled that we are working together on this. It's a long time coming, but we've gotten there and I'll take it. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 127 is adopted unanimously. Resolution 128, resolution authorizing and expanding, resolution authorizing expanding the scope of the lead service line replacement project and the additional expenditure therefore. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Soriento. Questions, discussion on the resolution? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 128 is adopted unanimously. Resolution 129, resolution authorizing the hiring of BST and Company LLP, a financial accounting consultant to close out fiscal year 2023, to file an amended 2023 annual financial report and to provide 2024 accounting services. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second?
Second.
Councilmember Casey. Discussion on the resolution.
Council President,
Councilmember Brosnan.
is there a chance Brandon could come back after we've reviewed this so we can vote on it in the next meeting more accurately?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Is there a chance that Brendan
Can
can come back at our
answer
regular
further
meetings?
Yeah. Yeah, that's, yeah.
You want him back later tonight? Is that your
Yeah.
question?
So I got like halfway through here and I have questions before.
Can I try to answer some of them?
Yeah, just give me a couple more minutes to finish reading the rest of it.
Okay, and then I'll come back up. Or Aaron has a question
Council
first.
President?
Councilmember Vera.
Yeah, just one quick one. I was going through the scope and I didn't see, and it might be in there, but I didn't see the quarterly reports. Is that included in some of the work for 2024? I'm
Yes.
seeing the mayor say
Yes.
yes. Yes. okay.
Yes.
Council President, oh, were you done?
Are you done?
I am now. No, I was.
Councilmember McLaren.
I'm not sure, the memorandum of support, I'm not sure where it came from. Is that you? That,
It was from my department, so I can
Okay.
try and.
well, it makes a little bit more sense now that I've seen some of this because it lists the municipalities. But I can't help but pause at the after some initial resistance due to other work commitments is,
They're so busy and they have a
Right.
lot of clients.
and I get that, but does that mean they're going to have less time to get this work done?
No.
Okay.
Like any busy firm, they were unsure they were going to able to meet our time commitments. Once we began discussions and we talked about feasibility of getting the work done within our time frame, as Brendan spoke about in his presentation, their ability to get the work done and our timelines have meshed. Also, unlike our prior outside vendor, he spoke about adding more people to the project, whereas with our other vendor, we were limited to the number of people that were available.
Mhm.
So given the number of accountants that they have, they're confident that they'll be able to get our work done. Additionally, he did, in our first meeting, talk about wrapping up one of their big projects recently. So that opened up some availability for us.
Okay. And I just out of curiosity, when we see this memorandum of support after, at the end of a resolution, is that generally from your office?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
I
Because they don't have, it didn't have a name, there was no name or entity associated with it.
We
That's
can
why I
try and make
asked.
sure that we add that for you.
We had
Okay.
actually, the last term of the council, that became an issue, and we asked that whenever it came from a particular department to please, and Randy's doing it, Gabrielle's doing it, it would really be helpful if the Corporation Counsel's Office could do it as well.
Certainly.
It tends to look like it's a memorandum from the council if it's not identified from some other source. So that would be helpful. I'm wondering if it would help council members if we put this resolution off until the end of the meeting, so you have a little more time to review the documents. I'm not sure if we're able to reach Brendan and see if he's able to come back to answer.
We'll reach out
Okay.
in the meantime.
All right, let's put 129 on hold for a moment and move on to one.
We need a motion for that.
I think we'll come back to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Resolution 130, resolution of the Troy City Council authorizing an advertised salary range for the position of city controller. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan,
Second.
second by Councilmember Rivera. Discussion on the resolution.
Council President.
Councilmember Rivera.
I'm assuming depending on when a comptroller is found and hired, there'll be a following resolution for the budget transfers if necessary. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
We're on Res 130. I'm assuming a resolution, once we find a comptroller, we'll have a resolution for budget transfers. Okay.
Quickly, that's why we wrote it that way, not to assume, do it more as a range, and then we'll come back to the council once we narrow in on the salary.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And may I ask, Council President, do you definitively want Brandon back, or do you feel
Well,
Dana can
he's here
answer?
now.
I'm not
Okay,
sure.
I asked them to zoom back in, so.
Okay.
Here.
Thank you. Hi.
Okay.
Hey, guys, who are you?
Okay, we're just wrapping up Resolution 130. Any other discussion on this? I'm glad to see that we're trying to make this position more competitive. I hope it puts us in better stead and that we can resolve this situation
Mhm.
as quickly as possible. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 130 adopted unanimously. Now going back to 129, authorizing the hiring of BST. Brendan, just to bring you up to speed, we did not receive in our packets the engagement
Okay.
letter, the members, the principals, or any backup. So our members are playing catch up here and doing some speed reading, trying to digest these materials.
Sure.
But in the course of that, there were some questions for you. We appreciate Dana's filling in for you in the meantime, but members would like to ask you directly. So
Yeah.
Councilmember Brosnan?
Thank you. So I have a couple questions throughout the engagement. The first one is the optional services, the assistance with the comptroller candidate assessment and hiring process, and the ongoing monthly management services arrangement to support the current department and or to assist new comptroller in their role, maintaining continuity of departmental operations. Do you have working estimate on how much the additional services would be in that situation?
Mentally, we're not even there on that. I am kind of laser focused right now on the 2023 corrections and the 2024 for your budget. But that is something, as we get into it, we would certainly prepare for you for your consideration, because those are discretionary. So I don't have a hard number on that right now.
Okay. The next question I have would be fees and costs. So the travel, meals, and fees for services from other professionals, is that stating like a third party would come in, or?
I don't anticipate any of those costs, and I'd be, I'd be comfortable removing that if it were required. This will be done by Capital Region based professionals. I won't be bringing in anyone from outside of BSD to assist with this. So there won't be any. I don't envision maybe then a few mileage bucks. I can't really envision any hard costs.
Thank you. And then number 5 on fees and costs, the assumption that unexpected circumstances will not be encountered during this engagement. Do you have any examples of what that would be?
Perhaps if we came across something so unique, like, I don't know, maybe there was a major fraud or collusion. Obviously we hope not, or anything. Things that would be outside of the normal account reconciliation process. But, having spent a little time looking at your records and just going through some things preliminarily, you're a fairly normal city. You provide the basic municipal services, water, sewer, trash collection. You have your economic development programs. So it's a bit of a catch, but anytime, and I think the fee ranges, and I think they're going to be more than sufficient to cover that. But if we found ourselves in that situation, we would have a talk with you guys. There won't be any surprise billings. There won't be any surprises when you open an invoice for us. It'll clearly delineate what we did and what we've accomplished, so that you'll be able to benchmark your investment in BST against the product you're getting in return.
Thank you. You estimated 2 to 4, initially starting with 2 people coming. I see that the staff has a range of hourly rates. Do you have a guess on which 2 pay steps you would be bringing in initially?
I'd have to get Mark's exact rate for you. I can get that. But again, so that's a second follow-up that I owe you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, accounting is, just like you folks are having trouble finding people in other municipalities are, CPA firms are in the same boat. Post-pandemic, we've had to make a number of market rate adjustments to our staff just to keep everyone happy. And so I think if you were to go through and look at a lot of CPA firms, there's been pretty significant increases in rates. But there's been pretty significant increases in everything. We all feel that when we go, to the grocery store or anywhere. But yeah, rates have increased probably since the last time you guys have even done an RFP for CPA firms, and that's unfortunately the nature of the beast. But I can get you a guess on the or an estimate on the ongoing management services, as well as the rates. And if it's your preference, we'll do itemized bills so you can see the billing rate of the person, which will match the firm rate.
All right, I would appreciate that. Thank you. And then my last,
and typically when we do that, it's almost like it's almost very similar to what a legal invoice would look like. It'll be a WIP detail. WIP stands for work in progress. And it'll have the person, the hours, the rates, and then a description of what they did.
All right, thank you so much. My last question for you is use and ownership, access, engagement documentation. In the event we are required by government regulation, subpoena, or other legal processes, do you have any insight on has that ever happened or what that entails?
Let me get to that section of the arrangement letter. No, we've never been sued, or we've never been asked to testify, or we've never been asked to hand over work papers as part of any kind of GAO investigation or anything from that format. So, which section is that?
I'm sorry, I just put it away. I can find it for you. It was use and ownership, access to engagement documentations. It's the second paragraph.
What page are you on?
Four.
Use for purposes. Yeah, but we'll be sharing. These work papers are meant to support your records, and so they will be available for you. Copies will be available. They're going to be supporting your accounting records. They're going to be supporting your audit. And so they are going to be distributed to you folks. The bulk of the copies of the work will be available and distributed to you folks.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for answering my questions and
And-
coming back on Zoom. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
One thing I want to add, one of the edits that we're going to do is just clarifying that confidentiality provisions and non-release provisions don't apply necessarily to the city because of our FOIL obligations. So we
Okay.
are adding a little paragraph recognizing that.
Okay. You guys get me your edits to incorporated. I'll review them. As long as I don't have any questions, I don't need to escalate them beyond myself. So I have the authority to incorporate them and modify the letter.
Any other questions for Brendan? This is your last chance, everyone. This is it.
Thank you.
You say that, but it's not. I'm actually, I hate to say pro bono, but I'm reconciling your calf right now because I'm just that curious about this AFR. So it was actually quite okay that you contacted me. I'm still working with you guys right now. So.
Well, we appreciate that, Brendan. And again, thank you for coming back to answer our follow-up questions. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you guys have any more questions, obviously let us know here. We're really here to help the city. We're looking forward to it. I kind of joked with the mayor that these kinds of projects make Meredith and I kind of tick, if you will. We get really interested in these kinds of things. And so there's a little bit of passion you're probably going to see from us, as dorky as that might sound from a governmental accounting perspective. And so we're looking forward to this and helping you guys get squared away.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All righty. Members, any other discussion?
I just want to add, BST, they do work for City of Rensselaer. Hi, Brendan.
Hi there.
They've been doing it for several years, and we were in a lot worse shape than what Troy is. What do you say, like 5 years going back?
Yeah, and we're still digging out of it. It's a challenge, but you guys have had similar. The city of Rensselaer, like many places, has had trouble getting a good finance person in place, and it's just a real challenging market. East Greenbush, we're to a smaller extent, we literally are doing the same thing in East Greenbush. I have a different team on that. So they're all over the place. I'm working with a village in Orange County that is actually in the process of issuing deficit bonds. Remember those?
No.
I'd rather not.
Okay. Well, that's where they're at. So, as doom and gloom as it may look, we've seen worse. And you're a little bigger than some of these others, but you know, it's accounting, and the numbers will end up in the right place when it's done.
And I have to say,
Thank
Troy
you.
is in good hands with BST.
Thank you very much.
You have my word on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Brendan.
Okay, folks.
Okay, thanks again, Brendan.
Okay, I'll be on a little longer if you guys need me.
Well, I think we're ready to take a vote on Resolution 129. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 129 adopted unanimously. Moving on. Thank you, Brendan.
Okay, folks, good night.
You're a go. Resolution 131, resolution determining that proposed lead service line replacement program is a type 2 action for purposes of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento, seconded by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion on the resolution? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 131 adopted unanimously. 132, bond resolution of the City of Troy, New York, authorizing the issuance of 12,823,000 serial bonds to finance the replacement of lead service lines. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Keel with a second by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion on the resolution.
Council President.
Councilmember McLaren.
I would just like to thank every single person who emailed us, sent letters, you know, canvassed, put it out there on social media. You know, somebody mentioned earlier that there wasn't any recognition of that, but you really did collectively make a lot of impact. And I really do appreciate all of it. A lot of you did a lot of work in bringing, you know, you did a lot of research and a lot of work into bringing a lot of these facts to light. And, you know, it's obvious that you love what you do, but you love the city of Troy. And so do we, and I'm proud that we were able to work together to move this forward.
I would say ditto that and don't stop. Keep at it.
Yeah.
Because we are listening and we do appreciate the hard work going into this. And hopefully we won't have to do this too much longer. Any other comments, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 132 adopted unanimously. 133. Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a funding agreement with the Environmental Facilities Corporation for loan and grant funding of the City of Troy's lead service line replacement program. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember McLaren. Discussion on the resolution.
Council President.
Councilmember Vera.
My only question is there an actual contract? There's no contract yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Will we have to review that when it's available, or is this authorizing the mayor?
That authorizes the mayor to sign and authorize. Apparently EFC is looking for that as part of the bond resolution package.
Okay, okay.
We'll, it's subject to corporation council.
And it's the only way to get $12.8 million?
That was my understanding.
Okay. Thank you.
Otherwise, I wouldn't pay for the contract.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 133 adopted unanimously. Resolution 134, resolution in support of a home rule message requesting that the Senate and Assembly of the State of New York enact bills permitting the City of Troy to issue general obligation bonds for replacement of all lead water service lines due to a public health emergency. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento was louder than Councilmember Brosnan.
That's usually true.
Discussion on the resolution.
Council President Steele.
Councilmember Casey.
I just want to again state that I don't believe there's anybody out there right now spending public money to replace water lines in the state. It hasn't happened. So this is another tool in our arsenal. Put pressure on your assemblyman, your state senator, the governor, just like resolution 127, put pressure on the comptroller and attorney general. I half-heartedly expected to see this on the ballot this fall. That never happened. But we are stuck. We can't do anything. It's not just our bond council. It's the whole state as a whole. So with all these resolutions, we've done what we need to do here. Now everybody else needs to do what they need to do. Contact your state legislators and start putting pressure on them to alleviate the situation because it's taken way, way too long to correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
City Council President.
Councilmember Keel.
Yeah, okay. I just want to say to everybody in the audience and listening at home, we all, I mean, every one of us here, when the mayor was up here with the full staff, all of city council, we all want this to happen. We want to see these lead pipes replaced just as much as each and every one here. Yes, our hands are a little bit tied or because of certain parameters that we have to work within. It's not just a snap. Oh, fire that guy. We just can't do these things. We have to do these things correctly, and we're doing it, and we're getting it done. That's the best we can do, and we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. I think what we have here tonight is an example of a multi-pronged attack to try to get to the same result, clearance to move forward. I said earlier tonight, it's kind of like throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. Hopefully, one of these measures will stick and we will be able to move forward expeditiously. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 134 is adopted unanimously. At this point in the meeting, I would entertain anyone who wishes to speak on any item, not necessarily on our finance agenda. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Soriento.
The loudest one.
Seconded by the second loudest, Councilmember Brosnan. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Keep it coming.
We got a special.
I know. I was thanking those who came and.
I'm ready.
What's that? Yeah, sure. Take a break. Quick break. Quick break.
All right.
Quick break. Hey, Maybe, yeah. We on? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special meeting of the Troy City Council, August 22nd. It is about 7:41. Thank you very much. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Keel.
Present.
Councilmember Brosnan.
Here.
Councilmember Spain McLaren. Present. Councilmember Vera.
Present.
Councilmember Soriento.
Here.
Councilmember Casey. Council President Steele.
Present.
All are present.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We have one item on the agenda tonight, one resolution to hire an accounting firm. Does anyone wish to address the council regarding that issue? Seeing none, we'll move right forward to Resolution 129.
Resolution 129, resolution authorizing the hiring of BST and Co LLP, a financial accounting consultant to close out fiscal year 2023, to file an amended 2023 annual financial report and to provide 2024 accounting services. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Vera with a second by Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on the resolution.
Council President.
Councilmember Brosnan.
I'd like to amend it so we remove the travel, meals, and fees from services other than from other professionals.
We have an amendment. Is there a second?
Entertain amendments to the actual contract itself, but certainly I'll be discussing amendments with BST tomorrow. So it's subject to minor corrections and alterations once approved in the whole.
It's really to us in draft form at this point, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Which is the norm for all contracts.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Any other comments? I think we're very fortunate to have BST helping us out. I have to say, this is not the place I'd like to be at this point in time, but I'm very concerned about the amount of money we spent to a firm that did not fulfill its duties, and I hope we will pursue that. And I'm concerned about how much money this is going to cost us in the interim. I recognize we don't have the salary of the controller, but that's not going to scratch the surface of what this is going to cost us. So at any rate, it is what it is. We need to know that we need this. We must have accurate numbers. And so I'm really grateful we have found such a reputable firm to do that for us. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 noes, resolution 129 passes.
Does anyone wish to speak on any item not necessarily on the agenda? I will entertain a motion. Motion from Councilmember Vera to adjourn, a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Soriento. All in favor?
Aye.
We are really adjourned now.